Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, which name is Analytics Pro. And as you know guys, here under this playlist, we are going to cover some advanced topics of Power BI. So in today's tutorial, we will cover one more advanced topic of Power BI, which name is query folding. So to understand this query folding topic guys, we should have some basic knowledge about SQL queries, because this topic is somehow related with SQL queries. And those who don't have knowledge about the SQL guys, so don't worry about it. So we have a separate playlist here under this channel which name is Power BI with SQL. So you guys can also start your SQL journey with free YouTube channel which name is Analytics Pro. And now let's come back to our topic. So what is query folding? So if we talk about the definition of the query folding is the ability of a Power Query to generate a single query statement to retrieve and transform the source of data. And non-SQL databases, query folding option is not available. And this is the limitation of query folding. We can perform only certain transformation in Power Query Editor, like renaming and removing the column, pivoting or unpivoting the columns, merging the columns, and adding some custom columns with simple logics, grouping and summarizing, and so on. And these are the only possible transformation guys which you can do in Power Query Editor and make your query folded. I know this time you guys are confusing that what is query folding, but after this practical guys, I guarantee with this thing, you guys clear all the doubts about query folding. And now let's move towards the Power BI desktop and try to understand what is query folding. And now we guys are entered here in Power BI desktop screen. So firstly guys, I will make one SQL connection. So I will simply go here in this SQL server. So I have already copied my server name. So you guys can enter your server name here, and now I will paste it here with Ctrl V command, and we need to click this OK button. So here we can see the server name, and under this server name guys we can see two databases. The first one is Anshuman and the second one is Shubham. So I want to expand this Shubham database. So here we guys can see we have a list of table under this Shubham database, and let's suppose I want to import this EMPL table. So I will simply check this and go here under this transform data, and we have imported data from SQL server. So here under this table we can see we have some null values with some additional column which we don't require, like order date 1, country 1, and we also need to manage sorting of our columns. So I need to perform all these transformations here under this Power Query Editor. So firstly guys, I want to deal with these null values. So as we already know how to deal such null values in Power Query Editor. So if we have our entire row is blank, there is no data in the entire rows. That means these are blank rows. So there is very simple step to deal with these kind of nulls. You can select any of the column and click here on this drop down. And from here guys, you can simply uncheck these kind of null and hit OK. So in this way, we guys can deal with null. And as we know guys, all the performed steps are recorded here under the applied step. So we have just filtered our columns to deal null values. So we can clearly see this step is recorded here with filtered rows. And now guys, what I'll do right click here on this applied step, which is filter row, and I will see this view native query option. Is this enable or disable? So if this view native query option is enable guys, which we can clearly see that is enable in our case, so that means we can push the filter step to the source. Here source means SQL server, and if this option is disabled guys, that means we can't push this step to the source. And now let me click on this option. So see, as soon as I click on this view native query option, so here I can see the SQL query, and that's what I said, we should have some SQL knowledge to understand this concept. Otherwise we will not able to understand this SQL query. So those who have at least basic knowledge about the SQL, so these guys can easily understand what does this query mean. So let's try to understand this query. So basically guys, this query starts from select command. After that we can see all the columns name which we have in our EMPL table. And after that guys, here you can see the where clause, because I have filtered uncheck from name column. That's why here it is where names is not equal to null. And those who have basic idea about the SQL, or those who are watching our SQL with Power BI playlist, I guarantee guys, you guys can clearly understand this query. So basically guys, if we perform any transformation in Power Query Editor and after that we need to check our view native query option is enabled. That means it generate a SQL query, and this query you guys can use in SQL as well as in Power BI. And now I will simply click this OK button. So my next step is I want to remove these order date and country one column. So with the help of remove column feature, I can remove these two column here in our Power Query editor. And now guys, I will select both the column with control click key in my keyboard. And after that, I will do right click. And here is the option guys, remove columns. And you can also see the same option here under this ribbon section, which is remove columns. So you guys can take from anywhere. So I will click this remove columns from here. So this step has also recorded here under this applied step. And again I will check this view native query option is enable or disable. So I will simply do right click on this step. So again we can clearly see this view native query option is enabled. That means we can also use this SQL query in Power BI as well as SQL. Or you can simply say we can push data to the source. And let's perform some more transformation under Power Query editor. And let's suppose guys, I want to split this shift date column because I want to fetch only years. So what can I do? I will simply select this shift date column. And now I will go here in this split column and select by delimiter option. And I want to split with this each occurrence of the delimiter. So I'll simply click OK. So see guys, our shift column has splitted by delimiter. And we can clearly see this step has also recorded here under this applied steps. And now let's do right click and check our view native query option is enable or disable for this transformation. So I will simply do right click here and see guys, with this transformation, view native query option is disable. That means we can't add this step in our SQL query. We cannot push our data to the source. And if you try to do any other possible transformation like remove columns, which we have seen earlier, we have removed the duplicate column which are order date and the country. So at that time, view native query option was enabled. And now if I try to do any other possible transformation like removing any other column, so our view native query will still disable. So let's try to do this thing with practical. So let's suppose guys, I want to remove this per unit price column. So I will select this column and do right click and remove this column. And now if I do right click here, so we can clearly see this view native query option is disable. So when we earlier applied this remove column to remove order date and country, so at that time view native query option was enabled. So this split column by delimiter is break our query. And after this split by delimiter column, we cannot push our data to the SQL server. So if you want this view native query option will enable for this step, which is last removed step. So you can simply transfer this removed step before this split column by delimiter. And now if I do right click, so we can see view native query option is enabled for this transformation. So basically in query folding concept, only few transformations are possible, which you can make to SQL queries and push data to the source. So let's go towards the Microsoft page and let me show you what all possible transformations which you can create for SQL queries. So here is the list guys of possible transformation in query folding. Like you can removing the columns, renaming the columns, filtering rows with static values, grouping and summarizing, non-fuzzy merging, adding custom column with simple logic, that's it. But if you go beyond these transformations, this view native query option will be disabled because we have only limited possible transformation. So I hope you guys are clear with this thing. And now guys, what I'll do, I will remove this last step. So I will simply click this cross button and I will also remove this last removed columns. So till here guys, I want to create a SQL query with view native query. So now I will do right click and click here on this view native query and simply copy this query and hit OK. And now I will open new notepad and I will simply paste my query here under this notepad. And now I will delete this table. So I will simply do right click and delete this table. And simply go to home section and close and apply. And now let's again create connection with SQL. So I will simply select this SQL server and here I'll write my server name. And under this database optional guys, I will also write my database name, which is Shubham. And instead of clicking this OK guys, I will expand this advanced options. And the query which I have pasted here under the notepad, I will select all the query and copy it. And this query guys, I will paste here under this advanced options and click OK. And now I will simply click here on this transform data. So see guys, there is no null values, there is no duplicate column, and there is no applied steps because we have already performed all the steps in the backend. And now we guys can also reuse this query again in future, and we can also save in stored procedure in SQL. Stored procedure is a SQL concept, and I will definitely cover this concept in detail with my Power BI with SQL playlist. So you don't need to clean this table again and again. And now let's go to the SQL server window and try to open the same table. So I will simply write my query here, which is select star from our table name, which is EMPL. And now let me select this query and hit execute. So here I can see the same table with null values and duplicate columns like order date and country. So I hope you are good with this query folding concept. And now guys, let's learn some advantage of query folding. So with the help of query folding, it reduces the amount of data transferred and processed within the Power BI. This results in faster transformation performance in Power BI, and incremental data refresh will be efficient in terms of resource utilization and refresh duration. In fact, the Power BI. So I hope you guys are good with this concept of query folding. And now if interviewers ask that what is query folding, so now you guys are answerable. And now you can explain this concept with same example which we have taken here under this video. So for such kind of detailed learning guys, stay connected with us and kindly support this channel. And those who are new to this channel, kindly hit the like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to press this bell icon guys, else you will miss an update. And you guys can also follow us on all these platforms like LinkedIn, Telegram, Instagram and Facebook. And if someone wants to learn Power BI or SQL from scratch, so with the help of this free YouTube channel guys, which name is Analytics Pro, you guys can easily learn Power BI and SQL and along with some analytical concept. And if I scroll it down, you guys can learn Power BI from scratch with this full course playlist. So firstly guys, you have to complete this full course playlist before watch this advanced playlist of Power BI concepts. And if you click here on this playlist button, so you can see multiple playlists are here like visualization playlist, DAX expression playlist, where people can learn Power BI DAX in detail. And we also have updates playlist where you guys will also get to see the latest update about Power BI. And now with the help of this Power BI with SQL playlist, you guys can also start your SQL journey and learn each and every concept of SQL in detail. And very soon guys, I will add more playlists which surely gonna help you to enhance your analytical knowledge. So you guys can take advantage of these playlists and upgrade your skills into the next level. And for the job seekers guys, we also have the Telegram group where I'm keep posting latest Power BI jobs opening, and people are also asking their doubts with each other in a group. So you don't need to pay anything to anyone for jobs and trainings. But we also conduct paid training session. And these sessions guys is only for those who are lacking to understand the concept from videos, because everyone is not much capable to learn through the videos because of their different backgrounds. So we personally train candidates from scratch till next level, where we also cover some market related scenarios and some real-time projects with notes, assignments, doubt, placement assistance and so on. So you guys can connect me on this LinkedIn or Telegram channel, or you guys can also follow us on this Facebook as well as on Instagram. All the links given are under the description box, so you guys can follow us there. Thank you so much guys for your more love and support. Keep learning and keep growing. Thank you so much.